On the first day of auditions, only 6 or 7 people came. Some of them didn't seem to know what an audition was. I kept asking for them to just show me anything at all. A poem, an impression, a song. But I'm pretty sure that many of them couldn't understand what I was asking for. I joked that I would be happy if somebody breakdanced for me. The lights go out at the Culture Center the same way they do all over Mitrovica, regularly. When the lights went out in the theater, we moved upstairs and continued auditions on the top floor beneath a large glass dome. The 2 theaters in the Culture Center are large and impersonal, made for cinema or dance concerts, but not for theater. Ali Barani has been making theater here for years. He told me the rules of the theater and we talked about plays. He invited me into his office to drink rakia. When I started hiring actors, he seemed to think that I was making some decent choices. On the second day of auditions, 20 or 30 people showed up. A lot of them were really good. One guy sang, "We Are the World." 3 girls performed an entire scene that they had written the night before. Another young guy performed a masterful comic impression of Prime Minister Thatcher. And an elderly schoolteacher with piercing blue eyes recited poetic couplets. I hired all of these people. By the next day, I had hired too many women and not enough men. Too many young people and not enough old ones. Watching 5 hours of auditions can be exhausting. A couple of young guys showed up at the very end of the day and asked if they could audition. "What do you want me to do?" said one. "I don't know," I said. "Anything you want. Sing a song, recite a poem, breakdance for me." He turned out to be a member of a local breakdancing club. One of my assistants beatboxed for him while he showed me his moves. Not bad. Not bad at all. I definitely hired that guy. Besnik Hasanaj is the one holding the camera. He always has a lot of warnings for me. Warnings like, things won't turn out like you expect. And just wait, you're gonna have problems. And not everyone is doing this play for the reasons you are. His last warning made me wonder, why am I doing this play? It's hard to say. Part of the reason is an old friend from Texas, and part of the reason is a taxi driver in Amsterdam. But those are reasons why we're doing this particular play. It's harder to say why we make theater in the first place. The one thing I do know is that the play is one big problem. Do we understand the words? Do we get the jokes? Do we have enough money to paint the set? Do the other people in the room understand what I'm talking about? Do the actors like or trust one another? Is the play too long for the audience? Are the seats too uncomfortable? Should we use electricity in the play if we know that it will probably go out? What happens if someone gets sick or falls and hits their head? If I put the audience on stage with the actors, will there be enough room for the audience at all? Will the actors then think that I've made a very bad decision? And will this opinion hurt their devotion to the play? Besnik Hasanaj's childhood school teacher is in the play. I asked him, was Besnik always so negative? Yes, he answers. Even as a child, he was realistic. The school teacher equated doubt with realism, and maybe he was right to do so. In the first week of rehearsal, we put the first act on stage, and we laughed a lot. People said their lines in ways that made everyone in the room fall silent in wonder, or slap each other on the backs. A lot of folks had trouble pronouncing Zakanassian, the name of the main female character, and there were a lot of good-natured jokes about this. On Thursdays, we had parties at my house. The school teacher played guitar, and Sadiq played the accordion while everyone sang. We got good and drunk, and the actor who played the mayor fell backwards in his chair. Later, when it was dark, we talked about the play. One young guy told me, "I'm starting to think this Dürrenmatt is a very smart guy." Then he said, "I love beer." I was starting to think that this Dürrenmatt was a very smart guy too. The singing went on for hours, and I decided that if the play was a failure, we could start a band instead. We sat beneath the cherry tree while blackbirds flocked there, eating the fruit and dropping the seeds onto our heads. The next morning I woke up thinking the same word over and over again. Zakanasin. Zakanasin. Besnik and others warned me that I was giving the actors too many compliments. If you keep complimenting them, they will get lazy, they all said. But I did not think this was true, because everyone seemed to be saying it. They were all worried about the same thing, which made me think that most of them cared too much to get lazy. Anyways, I couldn't help complimenting them. They were trying so hard, and they were great. Then, after a couple of weeks of rehearsal, you can only think about the play all the time. You dream about the play, and everything that happens to you during the day seems to be related to the play. And after a couple of weeks of rehearsal, you realize how much energy you and all of the actors are willing to devote to a fantasy that will disappear the day after the show closes. But this won't seem sad. It will seem intensely beautiful. Finally, after a couple of weeks of rehearsal, you won't have anything left to say about the play, and you will believe that only those people sharing the experience with you can really understand what it means. Actually, you could say the very same thing about living in Mitrovica.